from streets in Sofia, Moscow and Berlin, to schools, public squares and even a city in India. Georgi Dimitrov's name is immortalized across the globe. His iconic speeches during the Reichstag fire trial, where he boldly stood against the Nazi regime, cemented his status as a leader and symbol of resistance. But who was this man, whose legacy reaches far beyond the borders of his homeland, Bulgaria? Georgi Dimitrov's early life was shaped by the hardships of Bulgaria's working class. He was born on June 18, 1882 in the village of Kovachevci to a family that had fled from eastern Rumelia, which is the Bulgarian part under the occupation of the Ottomans, to Principality of Bulgaria following the Krasno-Razlog uprising. Dimitrov was the eldest of 8 children in a Protestant family, raised with a strong sense of justice by his deeply religious mother. In 1886, his family moved to Sofia, Bulgaria's capital, where his father established a small workshop. Life in the bustling city exposed young Dimitrov to the harsh realities faced by laborers. At the age of 12, Dimitrov left school and started work as an apprentice typesetter in a printing shop. His early exposure to socialist ideas through literature and the labor movement deeply resonated with him. By 1895, Dimitrov had become actively involved in labor activism, joining the newly founded Central Workers' Printing Union. His involvement in workers' strikes and organizing efforts demonstrated his commitment to the cause of social justice. In 1899, he was appointed librarian of the Sofia branch of the Central Revolutionary Workers' Party, CRWP. And in 1901, he became the secretary-treasurer of the organization. By 1902, Dimitrov had joined the Bulgarian Social Democratic Workers' Party, BSDWP, a significant step toward his future political prominence. At the beginning of 1903, after losing his job in Sofia, Dimitrov found employment at the printing house of the Protestant American College in Samarkand. However, his active organizing of socialist groups in local schools, and including the college itself, led to his dismissal in 1904. Upon returning to Sofia, he was also participating in the founding Congress of the General Workers' Syndical Union, ORSS, a syndicalist organization formed by the Bulgarian Social Democratic Workers' Party, narrow socialists. By 1909, Dimitrov was elected as secretary-treasurer of the ORSS, effectively becoming its leader. Under his guidance, the union grew to encompass 13 trade unions, with 235 local branches and over 8,000 members by 1912. In the same year, he was briefly imprisoned for insulting a deputy from the rival faction Broad Socialists. When Bulgaria joined World War I in 1915, Dimitrov and his party took a firm pacifist stance advocating for Bulgarian neutrality. Dimitrov became an ardent supporter of the Russian Revolution and aligned more closely with Bolshevik principles. In 1919, his faction formally joined the Communist International, Comintern, and rebranded itself as the Bulgarian Communist Party. Thus, by the early 1920s, his labor activism, combined with his increasing alignment with international communist movements, would set the stage for his later involvement in global revolutionary politics, and his famous role in the Leipzig Trial of 1933. On the night of the 27th of February 1933, the Reichstag was set on fire. At the same night, Georgi Dimitrov was traveling from Munich to Berlin. Through the Reichstag fire, Adolf Hitler has ordered to make mass arrests against the communists for the arson. On the 9th of March, Dimitrov was arrested based on the evidence of a waiter who claimed to have seen 3 Russians talking in a cafe with van der Lubbe. However, it later emerged that Dimitrov was not one of the 3 Russians, but rather one of 2 other Bulgarians, Vasil Tanev and Blagoj Popov. The investigation into the Reichstag fire lasted 6 months, and the trial began in Leipzig on September 21, 1933. With Dimitrov as a central figure alongside the unstable Dutch communist Martin van der Lubbe. In court, Dimitrov was provocative, challenging witnesses and engaging in confrontational exchanges, notably with Nazi official Hermann Göring. The trial sparked widespread public reaction across Western Europe and the US, mobilizing support from various leftist groups. The verdicts were announced on December 23rd, with van der Lubbe sentenced to death and the others acquitted. Following the trial, they sought extradition to other countries and were eventually granted Soviet citizenship before being extradited to Moscow on February 27, 1934. Georgi Dimitrov arrived in Moscow on February 27, 1934, greeted by crowds and Comintern leaders. Initially, he spent time in medical institutions, and after a meeting with Stalin, he was offered the leadership of the Comintern. In July 1935, Dimitrov delivered the keynote address at the 7th Congress of the Comintern, where he proposed cooperation with non-communist parties to fight fascism. After becoming General Secretary of the Comintern, he ousted his rivals in the BPC and intensified repression against them. Although he actively participated in the purges, he managed to survive and remained loyal to Stalin. Georgi Dimitrov's return to Bulgaria weeks before the controversial elections for the 26th National Assembly on November 4, 1945, marked a pivotal moment in the country's political landscape. His homecoming was discreet, and he was welcomed by Sergei Biryuzov, commander of the Soviet occupation forces. Despite his efforts, the Western Allies did not recognize the new government, which posed challenges for the Soviet Union during negotiations for a peace treaty. In 1946, Dimitrov faced electoral defeat against Atanas Moskov, the leader of the Bulgarian Workers' Social Democratic Party, BWSDP, but the election results were later annulled, declaring him the winner. In 1948, Dimitrov's health began to show signs of decline. After a brief period in Moscow, he returned to Bulgaria, where his condition gradually worsened. Following his death on the 2nd of July 1949 in the Barvikha Sanatorium, the Bulgarian Communist Party initiated a significant cult of personality surrounding him, declaring him a beloved leader and a great statesman. His body was embalmed and displayed in a mausoleum, becoming a focal point for public veneration. The cult surrounding Dimitrov grew, leading to the renaming of towns, the establishment of a national holiday in his honor, and the replacement of his portrait in public spaces with that of other communist leaders. His image was featured on postage stamps, and numerous monuments were erected in his memory. However, with the political changes of the late 1980s and early 1990s, this cult began to dissipate, culminating in the demolition of his mausoleum in 1999 and the removal of his portrait from public spaces, reflecting the shifting political landscape in Bulgaria. Stay curious, stay informed, stay tuned to Era Shapers.